Test. Okay, test. Now it's working. All right. Where are we at? 26 feet of water. Extremely romantic. Okay. Oh, okay. Yes, now I get it. Okay, I need a shrimp. Now, Yeah. Okay, we're in about 25 feet of water.
Grow your screen with botlivid.com. AI chatbots keep your chat active and help you gain followers fast. Remove space at DDT87F. At grow your screen with botlivid.com. AI chatbots keep your chat active and help you gain followers fast. Remove space at DDT87F. At Motorlive Grow your screen with botlivid.com. AI chatbots keep your chat active and help you gain followers fast. Remove space at DDD87F.
Let's go there. See my hooks. Alright, so you can see them. Each one is about 7 to 9 feet away from the center of the boat. We've got a fish down here right now. Let's see. So this screen is actually opposite of the boat. Okay. Yes. Yes, good plan. No checkers. No. That's not for you. It's after the chicken livers. Come on. Come on, boy. You might even freaking bite me. There you go. You stay over there. Okay. No bites. No bites yet. Okay. Just stay here for a little while and then we'll start moving. Okay. Looking good. No bites. Okay. Where's my... Oh, test. Yeah, we still got it. Test. Yeah, let's test. There's a fish down there. Yeah, they're looking at it. Test. Okay, so let's move. We're not catching anything here, even though I see a few fish. Okay, we'll try to stay in about 25 feet of water. We'll move slow. Okay, there's some fish there. We haven't gone very far. There's some fish. Yeah, let's park right here. There's a big bait ball, so wow. This could be a decent spot. Of course, everything left. That is so cool that I can see my lures and I can see the fish. I can see air bubbles coming up. Yeah, so there's an island right there. I don't know how far away from the marina I am. I wish I could see distance on this. I'm sure you could. But why doesn't it give me distance traveled? Why? Not a bite. Not a single bite. Let me check this one up here for a bait. No bait. Check my scene. Okay. No bites and no fish. So let's start up this trolling motor again. And we'll move again. What is that over there? Probably because the wind must have pushed me. That is so freaking weird. pressing the wrong frickin'. Looking for fish. We're looking for fish. There's 2 fish right there. There's a bunch of fish. That must mean this one's snagged. Okay, I'm going to stop here. Can you believe that shit? No fish. And no bait. Wow. Well, it's a beautiful day. That's for sure. You can see the moon up there. Might be getting a bite. There's a bite. Little one. Probably lost my bait. Probably out of bait. Yep. It's a beautiful day. Okay, let's go find a new spot. Because this isn't working. Oh, wait. Okay. All right.
I checked your video, seems like you are a new pig not yet affiliated and verified. I got a proposal for you by sharing your screen to a pig community for you to gain 1,000 active audience and earn nothing less than $1,000 while screaming at me on Discord if you're interested. Cyrox Chamber 7. Hey homie, I checked your video, seems like you are a new pig not yet affiliated and verified. I got a proposal for you by sharing your screen to a pig community for you to gain 1,000 active audience and earn nothing less than $1,000 while screaming at me on Discord if you're interested. Cyrox Chamber 7. Hey homie, I checked your video, seems like you are a new pig not yet affiliated and verified. I got a proposal for you by sharing your screen to a pig community for you to gain 1,000 active audience and earn nothing less than $1,000 while screaming at me on Discord if you're interested.
Okay, no fish yet. There's some fish right there. Okay, let's try this. So you can see my hook dropping now. They were, it's streaming behind me. There's a fish by one of these. That one's there. This one I'm probably gonna have to there we go. I have to reel this one in just a hair, I think. Okay, now let's check this guy. I think I'm stuck on the other side of my rudder. Let's hook that better. Something's been chomping on it. You doing okay, Checkers? Might be getting a bite. Jesus Christ, come on. There's a butterfly. I wonder if my music's too loud. All right, let's. This is not really working out for me too good. Let's put that there. Okay, what the fuck is going on here? Okay. Put this guy up here. Now, the wind is going the wrong way. I might be able to sail. I could sail over there probably. Okay. Bring this guy up. Got bait. Let's see what's wrong with this. Nothing, I guess. Okay, that's ready for trolling. Okay. What happened to the clicker? There it is. Okay, we got good bait there. Put our tether on. Okay, now I'm going to try sailing. Wind is not going in a good direction, but we'll be okay. We'll be sailing away from the marina. Okay, now okay, now let's get this over here. Like so. And then we'll take the trolling motor and we'll swing ourselves around. Take the anchor off. We'll start the we'll spin the boat around and get it downwind. Okay, there we go. Then we'll trim the motor up. And then we'll stow it. There it goes. Okay, now we can put that there. Okay, now let's go back to this scene. There we go. Where you can see the sail. All right. We're going 1 knot, 1 mile an hour. So now we can start lowering our bait. We'll watch for it in the... Okay, there's one of the balls at 10 feet. There goes the other one to 10 feet. Awesome. We can see both of them. Going good.
What's up?
Can you hear me okay?
How is your day going?
It's going great. I'm going to get so I can see chat.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah, I can hear you fine.
What do I call you? End baits or just baits? I got to turn that music down. Okay.
The message out loud 3 times. Is your machine repeating the message out loud 3 times?
Yeah, it's because I'm streaming to multiple platforms using Restream, and I keep turning it off so that it only does it once, and it keeps popping back in. I probably got to contact them. Sorry about that. And I'm using voice chat too. Maybe I could turn.
You can call me Bates or even Bates if you want. My name is Norman Bates.
Okay, cool. Where are you from?
Bates or even Bates if you want. My name is Norman Bates.
Let me see if I can fix that triple sound thing.
I'm from New York.
Okay,
I'm from New York.
I'm down in Texas.
Also, happy birthday, man.
Hey, thanks.
Re having a good day.
Yes.
Also, happy birthday, man. Hope you re having a good day.
Yes, I am. Let me see. Okay, I'm looking for the thing to turn off the triple. Okay, let's see if it stops repeating it 3 times now.
Test message to see if it repeats or not. Test message to see if it repeats or not.
Well, it did it only 2 times instead of 3.
Down to 2. That's progress.
Yeah.
Down to 2. That's progress.
Yeah. Let me show you my chart plotter. No. Okay, I'm going to show you my underwater chart plotter. Okay. So now watch, there's 2 light colored round objects, both of them at about 10 foot of depth of water. So watch those go down now. I'm going to bring both of these. That's my downrigger with bait on it. So that's my hook, my fishing hook. So see, I'm lowering one down. I'm going to go all the way down to 20, about almost 20 feet. So So now I'm 10 feet off the bottom. Now I'm going to lower the other one down, and you'll see that go down too. So those are my trolling downriggers. So you can see where my hook is now.
Damn, that's some nice equipment.
Yeah.
Nice man. Damn, that's some nice equipment. Nice man.
So I'm going about 0.8 miles an hour right now, and I've only got one sail out. So I'm trolling for fish, but I'm doing it with the sail instead of the motor. So it's really nice and peaceful, you know. So you can see the fish down there. You see that great big ball of yellow? That's like bait fish. That's minnows. So those are big schools of fish that you see. And then the bigger objects that are moving, those are bigger fish.
Saving up on fuel and less noise by using sail. Saving up on fuel and less noise by using sail.
Yeah, plus it's fun. I'm on Lake Conroe. It's a lake that's 25 miles long, and it's an average of about 20 feet deep. And right now we're in 37 foot of water. So this is my overhead.
Have you always been interested in fishing? Or did you pick it up later in life? Have you always been interested in fishing? Or did you pick it up later in life?
I picked it up, well, I grew up on a lake when I was a kid. And so I fished a little bit. I didn't even really fish a lot. I went out with my dad once in a while, but we weren't like avid fishermen or anything. And then I've maybe fished off and on throughout my life only a few times. I used to go kayak fishing for a while, had a kayak. But I was never a serious fisherman. But then I got this boat 2 years ago, and I've set the boat up to do something called the Great Loop. If you Google the Great Loop, you'll see a 6,500 mile long adventure trip. And that's what I prepared this boat for. So, and I want to, when I take that trip, I want to be able to fish and, you know, catch a fair amount of my food while I'm on the trip. So it's kind of what I'm doing today is practicing. So I'm not a great fisherman. I really just fish to get some to eat. I don't sport fish. You know, if you know what I mean. I think it's
Planning on taking the trip. It's so awesome that you have that plan for you. I hope it goes well. And when are you planning on taking the trip? It's so awesome that you have that plan for you. I hope it goes well.
well, I was going to leave August 1st of this year, and then my wife passed away in July. So I've postponed the trip. So right now I don't even know when I'm going to go. I might go in December, but I'm just not sure yet. It takes a full year to do the trip. So I have my dog with me here. I'll show you.
Oh man, I'm so sorry for your loss. I lost mine last year. Oh man, I'm so sorry for your loss. I lost mine last year.
Wow, sorry to hear that. You've just recently gone through the same thing I have. And I just turned 70 today. My wife was only 59. How old was your wife?
Yeah man, just know you are never alone in that pain. And there is strength in knowing that. Yeah man, just know you are never alone in that pain. And there is strength in knowing that.
Yeah. Thanks. It's really peaceful out here without the motor running. Okay, there's a lot of fish down there, so I'm going to put
My
the...
wife was 51, same age as mine. My wife was 51, same age as mine.
Wow, that's even younger. Where do you live in New York? Do you live in the city or do you live like northern New York or whatever it's called? New York State or versus New York City?
In the city, I work as an SDE here for microspeed. In the city, I work as an SDE here for microspeed.
Microsoft, wow, that's probably a good job. I'm retired. Man, there's a lot of fish down there right now, isn't there? Look at that. It's like they're in an orchestra. Not an orchestra, but a orchestrated swim.
Yep, can see a lot of activity on the radar thing.
Yeah.
Yep, can see a lot of activity on the radar thing.
That's called Live Scope. It's made by Garmin. Sometimes you can actually see the fish bite your hook. My hooks are at 20 foot of water right now, the depth of 20 feet, and the lake is 37 feet deep here. But it almost seems like there's more fish at about 20 feet right now than anywhere else, so I think I'm in a good spot. I did catch a catfish earlier this morning. I usually end up catching one fish that I can eat every day, at least one. And the catfish in this lake are really good eating too. So I'm going 0.6 miles an hour. That's a good speed to catch a catfish. But what I'd really like to catch is a striped bass. And typically you need to be going a little faster. Thanks.
Yeah, from what I can tell, you are doing it right.
Do you ever fish? I'm actually getting a little bit hungry, but I'm not going to eat yet.
I do, but mine is way less sophisticated. I just fished on a small lake, so I also done. T have a lot of experience. I do, but mine is way less sophisticated. I just fished on a small lake, so I also done. T have a lot of experience.
What kind of fish do you catch? So I'm going 1.2 miles an hour now. The wind picked up a little bit. Oh, it's a beautiful day. Let me show you my dog.
Winnows and such. Really small fish. Winnows and such.
Oh, okay.
Really small fish.
Let me show you my dog. Can you see him? There he is. That's Checkers. He's a Cocker Spaniel.
That's a nice dog. It's nice to meet you, Checkers. Yeah, that's a nice dog. It's nice to meet you, Checkers.
There's a story behind that dog. When I was a kid, I had a dog. My parents got it for me. I was probably about 8 years old. And it was a black and white Cocker Spaniel named Checkers, same as this one. This is Checkers number 2. And a terrible thing happened. My dad used to work on signs on the side of the highway, and he brought my dog to work with him. And my dog got killed by a semi-truck. And when I came home from school that day, my parents were waiting for me in the living room, and my dad told me that my dog had gotten killed. Now, you could say that it wasn't the greatest idea to bring a dog to work with you when you're working on the side of the highway on signs. So my dad probably felt really bad that the dog got killed. But then it gets worse. I'm sitting in the living room, and I'm only about 8 years old, and I have a very vivid memory of this. I remember the color of the chair I was sitting in, and I started crying right away. And I said, "Where is he? The dog, where is he?" And my dad said he's down alongside the garage. So I jump out of my chair and I go running out the front door to go look at the dog, and my dad starts yelling at me and running after me, saying, Rob, stop." So, but I didn't stop. I went down, and I come around the corner of the garage, and I don't see the dog. There's just a bucket, a pail. And I look in the pail, and there's my dog. It had been run over by a semi. So there wasn't much left. And so my dad, that was probably it was a traumatic thing for me, but it was probably even more traumatic for him. So when I started setting up this boat for this long trip, lots of people do this trip, about 250 people a year do this trip that I'm planning, and a lot of them have dogs on their boats. So I went on the internet and I Googled best boat dogs. And there's a list of 10 dogs, and the 8th one on the list is a Cocker Spaniel. And I knew right away exactly what I was going to do. I'm going to go find another black and white Cocker Spaniel. I'm going to name it Checkers. And then when I go to pick him up from wherever his parents are, to pick him up on the first day, when I pick him up, I'm going to say, "It's okay, Dad, Checkers is back." And I did that because my dad has passed away, but I want him to rest easy that it's okay that the first Checkers got killed because Checkers is back. So that's the story of Checkers. Yeah.
Checkers deserve a better ending than that, and your dad was for sure at fault for that, but he did not do it like that. Checkers is a chance for you to do it right, and it's so beautiful that you choose to admire him like that. That must have been traumatic for you to hear that your dog is just gone like that. Checkers deserve a better ending than that, and your dad was for sure at fault for that, but he did not do it on purpose.
Correct. Thank you. Thank you. Yep, and it's one of those things where I wasn't planning to do that. I wasn't thinking about doing that. But it's like as soon as I had the idea of getting another Cocker Spaniel, that idea instantly came into my mind. So it's almost like an idea from God. Yep. Yep. He's a good boy. He's very loyal. He follows me around wherever I go. I think that's kind of amazing that dogs are so loyal. So now we're in 46 feet of water, and I lowered my bait and my hooks down to 25 feet now. So this lake is a backwater. Off to my left side here is where the dam is. And I think they flooded this in about 1973. And there's about 5,000 people that live on this lake. All of them probably have at least one boat. Houses are super expensive on this lake. Yep.
One of my friends got injured and his dog went to the hospital with him. He just kept chasing the ambulance, so the driver stopped and let him in.
Is that right?
Dogs are willing to die and defend their owners, and it's really an amazing sight to see. One of my friends got injured and his dog went to the hospital with him. He just kept chasing the ambulance, so the driver stopped and let him in.
That's amazing. We used to have a farm in the wilderness of upper Michigan, and we had goats and chickens and horses and cows and sheep and turkeys. So it was like a hobby farm, but it was really in the wilderness. And I had 40 acres of land, and we might be getting a bite. Nope. And to protect our animals, because there was a lot of wolves around, to protect our animals, we started raising livestock guardian dogs. And the breed that we picked was called the Maremma Abruzzo, which is a dog that comes from the mountains of Italy. And it's bred to protect sheep and goats in herds. And those dogs were absolutely amazing. They're not so loyal to a human, but they bond to whatever animals you raise them with, and then they protect the animals. And there were several times where a wolf came into the yard, and we had a male and a female, and they would take off after that wolf, and you could hear the wolf howling, and you could hear the dogs barking for miles. Those dogs would chase that wolf. I don't think they ever caught one and fought with one, because they never got torn up or cut or anything, you know. But they would get on the scent, the trail of that wolf, and just stay after them and drive them away. They also kept the bears away.
It's so amazing to think there is a dog that's willing to put its life at risk and drive wolves away just to protect the herd. It's so amazing to think there is a dog that's willing to put its life at risk and drive wolves away just to protect the herd.
Yep. And then we decided we were going to breed the male and the female, and then just, raise the puppies and sell them. So we let them breed, and she had a litter of 12 dogs, 12 puppies. So the puppies were probably only about a month old. They weren't old enough to sell yet, maybe 2 months. But my wife and I went on a trip to where'd we go? We went to Paris, France. And we had somebody else watching our farm while we were gone. And that person made a mistake and let the dogs get together again, and they bred a second time. So then, which is not good for the female to have two litters that close together. But she got pregnant. She had a litter of 13. No, I'm sorry. The first litter was 13. The second litter was 11. And we hadn't even sold any of the first 13 dogs yet. So we had 24 puppies and then the male and female adult dogs. So we had 26 of these dogs all at the same time. And then we started selling them and giving some away. And we ended up going back down to just the two, male and female. We got rid of all of the puppies. But you should have seen our farm. We would let them run loose even, all of those puppies. So you just walk outside and our yard, you know, just imagine a yard with 26 white dogs in it. The wind is going in the right direction today so that I can sail right back to the marina. When I first started talking to you, I was right by an island, and I had anchored my boat and I was fishing, you know, without moving the boat. But now I'm heading back to the marina where I keep my boat, and the wind is going in the right direction so that I can sail right all the way back.
Sight to have 26 puppies running around in the yard.
Yeah.
But I can't help but think it must have been high maintenance.
Oh, it was terrible.
A nice sight to have 26 puppies running around in the yard. But I can't help but think it must have been high maintenance.
Well, it was high maintenance, especially when you wanted to put them away for the nighttime. You know, we had a barn, and we got to get all 26 dogs back in the barn. But it wasn't too bad because the two adult dogs, you know, would mind well, and then the puppies would follow them. So it wasn't too bad. But they would go through an enormous amount of food also, and we tried to feed our dogs as much natural food as we could. Like, you know, we had a farm, so whenever we would butcher a goat for the freezer or a sheep, or a turkey, you know, a lot of the bones and the leftovers, we would feed the dogs that, and it's just way healthier than store-bought dog food. But they ate a lot. These are big dogs. The male was 110 pounds. The female was about 80 pounds. And, you know, the puppies, by the time we would sell them, it seems like they were about 30 to 40 pounds. So they ate a tremendous amount of food. The wind is picking up nice. I'm going 1.5 miles an hour. That's a good speed for trolling. Although I haven't caught anything. Well, I did this morning, but I haven't caught anything since you've been watching.
You have children of your own. Surely they must have had the privilege of growing up with puppies running around. You have children of your own. Surely they must have had the privilege of growing up with puppies running around.
Well, I have 6 children, or I have 7 children. One is a stepdaughter. But it's an unusual situation where my first two children that I had, the first one I was 17 years old, and then the second child I was 19. And then 12 years go by, and I have 3 more children. And then, but this is all before we had the farm. And then I ended up getting a divorce after 28 years of marriage with the first wife. And I got married a second time, which was 23 years ago, 22 years ago. And then my second wife and I had a daughter. We have a daughter, and she's 19 now. But the 19-year-old daughter, and then my stepdaughter that my wife had from a previous relationship, she's about 33 right now. So she was, 14 years older than the youngest daughter. But she grew up, she spent about 6 or 7 years on the farm, and then my youngest daughter spent about 8 years on the farm before we moved. So it was really only one of the 7 children that was a baby or young. I got a lot of pictures of her with the dogs. She was probably about 3 or 4 years old when the dogs were born, all 24 dogs. But we got a lot of pictures of her with baby rabbits and baby dogs and baby goats. So yeah, that is a great way to grow up. And that farm, we kept it even after we moved down to Houston, which was 13 years ago. We kept that house and we were renting it out. And it was going to be our summer retirement home. And then we were going to keep our home in Houston, and that was going to be our winter retirement home. But the house on the farm, the person that I was renting it to, made a huge error with the gas stove and filled the house with gas, and then it exploded. It completely destroyed the house. There was absolutely nothing left. It was a massive explosion followed by anything, wood was burnt after the explosion. So we didn't have our summer retirement home up north anymore. But then my wife didn't make it to retirement anyway, so I guess it didn't matter much. Oh.
Had so many wonderful memories in the life that you have lived. My wife wanted to have kids, but she had a condition that prevented her from having kids, and we didn't, and he wanted to adopt, so we had no kids.
Well, you had some good years at least. I guess I had enough kids to make up for it. Wow, time is flying. It's 1:30 already. When I take this fishing trip, I do a similar thing each time. And usually I'm back at the marina by 12 or 1 o'clock. I left a little bit later today, but I guess I've just been enjoying it and not trying to rush. Better keep an eye on my depth here.
I have to ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the life that you have lived so far? I have to ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the life that you have lived so far?
Well, that's a good question. What if I broke it up into let's break it up into 3 different things, and then I'll combine it in my mind and give you a single number. So first, let's say family. I think it's awesome that I have 7 kids, and they're all alive and they're all doing pretty well. And both of my wives were good women. The first one, I wish, the only thing in my family life that I kind of wish, it's hard to, I wish I didn't have a divorce, right? But then if I wasn't divorced, I wouldn't have found my second wife. And she was like a rare gem. So I would say family, I'd give myself about an 8. I wouldn't go to a 9. I wasn't good enough I made too many. I wasn't a good enough parent when I was younger. It took me a while to learn that better. You learn through mistakes. So I'm just going to say an 8 for my family life. Now, work life, I had a really good career. I worked for my dad in his business, and then I worked for another company for 40 years. And then I worked for a second company for another 10 years. And I have so many career-related stories and memories. It was, obviously you have your bad things that happen, but generally I'm going to say my career, I would give it a 9 for sure, maybe even a 10. And then the third thought to answer your question was hobbies. And I've had quite a lot of hobbies. I used to race motocross motorcycles. I raced dirt late models like you have up in New York State. I raced legend cars. I was the general manager of a racing sanctioning body called Superkarts USA. Short name is SCUSA. I travel all over the country racing. I also had a business for a while where I was the importer for racing shifter carts. It's almost like a small Indy car. And so I was importing them from Italy, and I set up 35 dealers all over the country. And I'll say that as part of a hobby rather than a business. But my son worked in the company that we started with me, and that was really fun. I've also done a lot of gardening, and my gardening is kind of like a science project. So I get really elaborate with my designs for my planters and how I do the gardening. I've got water reservoirs, and I make my own soil, and I do a lot with worms for composting and black soldier flies. And then I was also doing blacksmithing for a while as a hobby. I had a forge. I had all the tools. And now, of course, my main hobby, I'm still doing the gardening, but now I'm sailing and fishing and preparing for this big adventure. So on a hobby, at least compared to most people, like I've got, when I have a hobby, I get into it very seriously, and so it's not just wasting time. So I would give myself like on the hobbies, a 9. Maybe, yeah, I'm going to say a 9. So my overall score then, if I combine those three, it's probably about an 8.5 for my life. If I had it to do over again, I would make sure that my family score is higher than my hobby score and higher than my work score. So that's my assessment.
You sure have lived an eventful life. And I'm very happy for you. I wish the best of life to all your children and you too. Enjoy it as much as you can. Time is precious. You sure have lived an eventful life. And I'm very happy for you. I wish the best of life to all your children and you too. Enjoy it as much as you can. Time is precious.
Thank you. How about you? How would you score yours? Water depth is only 30 feet now, so I got to bring these up. So I have see this one on the port side, I can see the ball in the live scope, so I know where my depth is. I'm at 20 feet. So, and it's got a counter on it, and the counter says 24 feet of line out. So then I can go over here, and even though I can't see this ball, I can bring it up to 24 feet, and I know that both of them are at about 20 then.
I would say that my life has been pretty eventful too. I have worked all over the world thanks to my job as a software developer for 30 years now. So a 9/10 on work life. On family, I would rate it 7, but that's only because of the limited time I got to spend with my wife and had no kids. She was a rock on my life and I miss her even today just as much as I did the day I lost her.
Wow.
As for hobbies, I would say a 10/10. I have
Very good. What kind of go-kart did you race? Because I used to race them, and my kids raced go-karts, and then I was involved with Superkarts USA. If you Google Superkarts or SCUSA, you can still see that sanctioning body. It's still functioning.
It was in one-seater with open wheels. We had to wear safety protection and all even as kids, and it really got me into racing. It was in one-seater with open wheels. We had to wear safety protection and all even as kids, and it really got me into racing.
Cool. We were into shifter carts most of the time. They're very expensive. They run 125cc motocross engines, so they do about 140 horsepower, and they're super wicked fast.
Nice. Do you have any other big plans like the boat trip on your bucket list? Nice. Do you have any other big plans like the boat trip on your bucket list?
Well, I do have one thing I want to do. Back in 2011 and 2012, I had developed a partnership with a Chinese company, and it was very, very unique. I was working for a company in Michigan, and we had a manufacturing plants. We built heavy, big equipment for the Navy, for mining, and we built cranes and products like that. And then we were looking, I was in sales, and we were looking to expand our business, always want to get bigger. And I found a company from China that also manufactured big, heavy equipment for building their high-speed rail, also for big cranes for installing wind farms. And the arrangement or the contract that I signed with them was they were going to build our designs, our mining equipment and our products for ships. They were going to build them in China, pay us, for using our design, and then sell them for us in China. And we would get a commission on the sales. And then back in 2011, it was looking like wind energy was going to be a big thing in the U.S., and it also looked like high-speed rail might be pretty big because there was one being planned for Texas. There was one being planned in Wisconsin. There was one being planned in California. And so we were going to build the equipment, the Chinese designed equipment for high-speed rail and for wind energy and then just big cranes. But my point is that I spent a lot of time in China in 2010 and 2012. And then I left that company, and so I wasn't involved in the China operation anymore. But I absolutely loved it in China. It felt like I belonged there. I fit in. Their culture, they are just absolutely hardworking people. They take their whole life they take more serious than the average American. You know, they're healthy. It's a way different. I have a much different image of China than what you'll ever see on TV. So I want to go back. I wouldn't even mind living there. So I might go to China. I definitely will go to China to visit, but I wouldn't even mind living there. That's the only other thing I've got on my mind. Well, there's one other thing. There's one more thing. Part of my career, I've had 23 different management titles in my life. I was like the fix-it guy. I worked in a company for 40 years where the owner was extremely demanding, and he did not like management people. He just didn't like them. And there was a huge management turnover in that company. But I actually lasted 40 years somehow. And so my job was, he would fire somebody, and then he would put me in charge of that department or that factory or that division. And my job was to turn it around. And so in that 40 years, I had 20 different management titles. I've averaged a new role every 2 years. But one portion of that career, for about 2 years, I was in sales 3 different times. But the one time, we were trying to expand our business in the U.S., and I did some market research, and I came up with 400 potential new customers. And we lived up in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, kind of like wilderness. It was actually hard to fly in and out. So to do a sales job where you're trying to visit 400 customers, it's just not a good idea to do it by air, by plane. So I bought a motorhome, a diesel motorhome, and I started traveling the country, and it was really fun. And it was even fun in sales. So I was cold calling these companies, and, like I would start on Monday, and I would start calling the companies that I'm probably going to be near, say, on Thursday and Friday. And I would try to set up appointments. And, cold calling is always really tough, but I ended up getting pretty good at it. And the hardest part is getting to the right person to set up an appointment. But I started getting pretty good at it. And so here I am traveling all over the country in this motorhome, basically just having a blast. So I might do something like that again, because my kids are spread out all over the country. I might buy a motorhome or build something. I've been looking at, lots of people are buying old ambulances and converting them to something like a motorhome. So I was looking at that. So I could end up traveling the U.S., not having a home and traveling the U.S. in something.
have also lived in a motorhome. That's really cool and must have been a nice thing to experience for you. And on the last thing, I agree that the Chinese are super hard working, and I'm saying that because I met a lot of them in my profession. So you have also lived in a motorhome. That's really cool and must have been a nice thing to experience for you. And on the last thing, I agree that the Chinese are super hard working, and I'm saying that because I met a lot of them in my profession.
Yeah, I'll bet you have. Yeah, I'll bet you've met a lot of Chinese. Yep. So we'll see there could be a scenario where I actually take this trip. Now this boat, I have highly modified it. I've basically been working on it for 2 years. It is not, I've got, it's like a commercial fishing vessel. It's like a commercial shipping vessel because I've got all the AIS and sonar, 2 different kinds of sonar systems, chart plotters. I've got autopilot. I've got VHF radio. So the boat is, and then it was just a sailboat, an empty sailboat, and I converted it into a tiny home, basically. I've got air conditioning, heating. I got 12-volt electric system. I got 120-volt electric system. I've got solar panels up over my head. And I've got Starlink satellite dish. And it'll sleep 4 people. And so I've put a lot of time and effort into getting this boat ready for this trip. I've got lithium batteries just about everywhere in the boat. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 lithium high output batteries in here that are charged by the solar panels. So a scenario where I take this trip for a year and then probably sell the boat after that. I don't know. Depends on what I end up doing. And then maybe take a trip to China, spend some time over there this time, maybe some months. And then maybe get set up for traveling around the U.S. in a vehicle, like I talked about. So I plan to live another 30 years, so there's plenty of...
That's one piece of a boat right there. Good work on making this piece. That's one piece of a boat right there. Good work on making this piece.
Plus, it's got a trolling motor up front that is it's almost like a bow thruster. I don't know if you know what that is. I can move the front of the boat back and forth. I can use that. I can set the GPS anchor so it'll hold the boat in one position for hours on end, just like dropping an anchor. And then in the back, I've got a trolling motor here also. And then I've got a 60-horse Mercury. And then I got the 2 sails. So I basically have 4 different modes of moving this boat. So it's like redundant for the trip, for one thing. It's an odd boat because it's a hybrid. It's both a sailboat and a motorboat. So it's got a 60-horse Mercury on the back here, and I can go 20 miles an hour with it, or I can sail. The other interesting thing about this boat is it's a 2008 Macgregor, and the model number is 26M. It's a 26-foot boat. And I was looking for one of these boats specifically. There was about 10,000 of them made. They shipped them all over the world. But I was looking for this specific boat, and I found one, and it was on Craigslist up in Wisconsin. And the subject line of the ad said 2008 Macgregor 26M brand new. And I thought, well, that's got to be a scam. So I didn't even call about it But then a couple days later, I was looking again for boats, and that boat popped up again. And so this time I looked and see if I could call the person who had it, and he did have his phone number in there in Craigslist. So I called him, and the guy he was actually a doctor, and he seemed very legit. And I thought, well, maybe this isn't a scam. And I asked him what the story was behind the boat, and it was a friend of his that had this boat. He bought it in 2008, and then he died shortly after. So it sat in a warehouse for 14 years. It was never put in the water. It literally was brand new. All of the rigging was still in the bags. It had never been, the sails had never been put on the boat or anything. So it doesn't look brand new anymore because I've got it pretty much dirty and weathered now, but
Looks like you got yourself a good deal when you bought it off Craigslist. Looks like you got yourself a good deal when you bought it off Craigslist.
it was priced about the same as other boats of the same age, but have been used, you know. So it was I wouldn't say it was a screaming deal, but I definitely was willing to pay a little more for a boat that had never been used, right? So we're in 27 feet of water, and I've got my hooks down at 15 feet right now. I just got...
Almost 2 if I'm reading the correct local time for your place in the stream window. When are you planning on getting something to eat? It's almost 2 if I'm reading the correct local time for your place in the stream window. When are you planning on getting something to eat?
Well, I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight right now, so I haven't eaten yet today, and I probably won't eat until I get home, which will probably be close to 5 o'clock. So it's 2 o'clock now. I'll be back at the marina about 2:30. It'll take me about another 30 minutes to get back there, and then I'll tie the boat up and I'll put everything away. I have this streaming set up, and I built it into a watertight box, and I've got a lot of equipment related to the streaming, so I put that down below deck in the cabin. So I'll probably leave here maybe about 3:30, and then it takes me an hour to get home, so let's say I'm home at 4:30, and then I'll eat dinner at 5. When I'm trying to lose weight, what I do, and there's probably people that would advise against this. It just seems to work good for me. So I get up in the morning and I weigh myself. And if I am 1/10 of a pound less than my weight from the previous day, then I go ahead and eat breakfast. But if I'm higher than my weight from the previous day, then I just fast, and I'll weigh myself, later in the day. Maybe I'll weigh myself about noon, and if I'm still higher than yesterday's weight, then I don't eat. And then usually I can lose. Let's say I wake up in the morning and I'm 2 pounds heavier than I was.
Sounds like you are fasting on purpose, Dad.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like you are fasting on purpose, Dad.
Yep. So then, let's say I wake up in the morning and I'm 2 pounds heavier than I was yesterday. Well, then I'll fast for the day, And usually around dinner time, that 2 pounds will be gone. And I'll be a little bit less than my previous day's weight. And as soon as I get a little bit less than the previous day, then I eat. So today I know I'm over, I don't have a scale with me, but I know I can tell by I'm probably up a good 2 pounds this morning.
Hey homie, I can share your stream in a Kick community to help you hit 1,500 followers, 700 viewers, and earn $1,000 per stream. Add me on Discord if you are interested. Cyrox Janer 70. Hey homie, I can share your stream in a Kick community to help you hit 1,500 followers, 700 viewers, and earn $1,000 per stream. Add me on Discord if you are interested. Cyrox Janer 70.
Must be a chat bot, huh? I have those turned off too. I got to call my Restream, my software company, and find out why the chat bots can still get in here. And
Yep, that's a chat bot.
yeah.
Yep, that's a chat bot.
So I got to find out why the message is getting repeated twice, and I got to find out how are the chat bots still getting in. Oh, it's a beautiful day, though. It's not too hot. It's probably only, we're supposed to get to 90, but I don't feel like it's that hot. I would say it's probably about closer to 85. Got to bring my hooks up a little bit because the depth is up to 24 feet now. Let me see what I got here on my counter. So I'm at 16 on that counter. So this one will bring up to 16. All right. Now we won't get snagged.
It seems like you have worked out a plan that's working well for you on losing weight, and that's really good. I did the same when I was rock climbing back in the day. It's been a while now. It seems like you have worked out a plan that's working well for you on losing weight, and that's really good. I did the same when I was rock climbing back in the day. It's been a while now.
Yeah, it's simple. I only have one rule. Doesn't matter. I don't really, well, I try not to eat too many sweets or carbs when I'm in the process of losing weight. I only have to lose, I'd like to lose another 10 pounds. So my whole weight loss is 15 pounds total. I'm down 5 right now. I want to lose another 10. So I'll just, limit carbs. I still eat them, but limit them, and then limit sweets. And then I have this routine where I don't eat unless I'm less weight than yesterday. Oh, this is nice. Yeah, I think so. I'm not in great shape. I could stand to work out a lot more, but I don't have any real health issues. So my last job, I worked for a company that did building management systems. So we were controlling the HVAC and the lighting and the pumps, controlling anything that was using energy in a building to try to reduce energy consumption. And I ran the engineering department. I'm not an engineer, but I've been an engineering manager twice in my career. So this was the third time that I was the engineering manager. And our programming is kind of like C++, like BASIC. It's code. It's not like graphical programming. But I was hiring programmers out of school, and then we would also hire technicians from the HVAC industry, like air conditioning and heating technicians, because in order to program our systems, especially with the HVAC, I would say about half of the programmer's knowledge would be about how to write code, and then 50% of their knowledge had to be how does these really big air conditioning chiller plant systems, like we did a lot of work with schools, and being down here in Houston, it's extremely hot, so air conditioning is a great big deal. So the programmer had to understand how these HVAC systems operated, because they're basically controlling all the valves, the motors, the dampers, it was a really difficult job, the programmer's job, really difficult. It would take, like, let's say you have a guy that comes out of college with a computer science degree and maybe has had some programming experience from school and knowledge. It still takes them 5 years, easy, to become a programmer that can basically work on their own with this HVAC equipment. And it takes probably 15 years to get to the point where you maybe wouldn't need any help from anybody. And the biggest challenge is not the code, it's understanding how the equipment runs. But you probably do much different programming. You're a software developer.
The concept of interning is really prolonged in my profession. You are always hopping on calls with different people on what part of code to tinker with and how much. Yep, the concept of interning is really prolonged in my profession. You are always hopping on calls with different people on what part of code to tinker with and how much.
Yeah, I'll bet. Might have a fish. Nope. Thought I had a fish, but I didn't.
I think the best plan for you to achieve all your goals on the bucket list would be to first, of course, complete the boat trip and then buy a motorhome and visit all your children over the US before then going to China for a few months. I think the best plan for you to achieve all your goals on the bucket list would be to first, of course, complete the boat trip and then buy a motorhome and visit all your children over the US before then going to China for a few months.
Yeah, because you're probably right. Because if I go to China, maybe I won't even come back. Maybe I end up staying there. So that's probably a good idea. Go to China last.
I'd love to join your live streams whenever you're streaming. Add me on Discord, Lima788. I'd love to join your live streams whenever you're streaming. Add me on Discord, Lima788.
Another chat bot, right, Mr. Bates? I gotta bring my hook up again.
Yep, a lot of bots fishing for your attention right now. Yep, a lot of bots fishing for your attention right now.
Battery went dead on my 360 camera. But that's no big deal because I got another one right here. Okay. That's back on.
GoPro consume a lot of battery. Same thing happened to me except I didn't bring a second one. GoPro consume a lot of battery. Same thing happened to me except I didn't bring a second one. And my wife was not happy about it for the rest of the trip. And my wife was not happy about it for the rest of the trip.
Do you, you're on Twitch, right? Do you do any gaming?
Yep, on Twitch. Yep, on Twitch.
I do iRacing, but I haven't streamed it very much. I have an iRacing rig in my boat here. So I got the pedals and the wheel. I used to have a motion simulator, a 6 degree of freedom motion simulator, and I just sold that recently.
Yeah, I have a few friends from my college days who I did gaming with. We played video games back from the days of arcade consoles of today. I don't stream, but I do game.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a few friends from my college days who I do gaming with. We played video games back from the days of arcade consoles of today. I don't stream, but I do game.
The iRacing that I do is super competitive. I've got a lot of experience driving race cars and motorcycles and shifter carts. And I thought I would go get started on iRacing and I would kick their butts. But it's the opposite. They kick my butt. And there's a clear advantage, and it must be reaction time, ability to concentrate. But the younger guys are clearly better than us older guys. And it's different than real racing because in real racing you're limited on the amount of practice you can ever get. You know, you can race once or twice a week, and you can practice, you know, a little bit, but you know you're lucky if you get 100 laps per night of racing. But on iRacing, you can do thousands per day. You know, you can, and that's the guys that are really good at iRacing. That's how they got good, was thousands and thousands of laps and hours. It's interesting. The guys who are really good, they're so good that I don't even know what they're doing. You know what I mean? I don't know what's the big difference. Well, I know it's throttle control and it's braking and it's you know, the way you take your corners and not scrubbing off speed and stuff like that. I know the basics of it. But what I don't know is what's going on in their bodies that allows them to be so freaking precise and fast. It's amazing.
iRacing sounds like a week and a half, and I have always been interested in racing, so I'll try to get it and see it for myself. iRacing sounds like a week and a half, and I have always been interested in racing, so I'll try to get it and see it for myself.
Yeah, you can do it on a console. I know iRacing just came out with I believe it's a NASCAR game. It's separate from the normal iRacing, but it's a console game. Regular iRacing, you can play it on a console, but it's kind of difficult. it works much better with a wheel and pedals. You probably wouldn't, but if you did the NASCAR version of iRacing, the one that they just came out with, everybody's on a console, so nobody has the advantage of being on a wheel and pedals. So you'd probably do, you know, if you're on a console, you'd probably do better on a game like that.
Okay, I have a PS5, so I'll look it up on that.
Okay.
Okay, I have a PS5, so I'll look it up on that.
I got to bring my sail in. I got the autopilot on. First thing you gotta do is put this line through the cleat here, the latch, the locker. Come on. Then I gotta pull in the furling line. Okay. And I'll put this sheet in the latch. Pull that snug and then latch it. Then we'll pull the pole back. This is the pole that I use for docking. Well, this is my checkers gate here to keep checkers from falling out of the boat. There. So I love this autopilot. Allows me to go below deck, go to the bathroom, whatever I need to do. Just set the autopilot. You know, as long as I don't have any boats right in front of me, I'm good to go. Checkers, you doing good, boy? Let's get the checkers cam on. There you go. There's the checkers cam. Thank you, Mr. Bates.
Checkers 2.0. I have to go run an errand, but it was really nice to talk to you. I did not get your name, but I hope that today's practice was useful and helps you prepare better for the boat trip that you plan to take soon. Again, happy birthday, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Mr. Bates.
Checkers 2.0.
My name is Rob Hale. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Mr. Bates. We'll see you later.